very pleased to have you all with us today on Neo Spotlight, where we're going to zoom in on an extremely interesting company, Immutable Holdings. And I have the pleasure to have with me the chairman and CEO, Jordan Freed. Jordan, welcome.
Thanks for having me, Jos.
It's a true pleasure. And before we get started, Jordan, just a few other comments for the audience. Feel free to put in questions that you may have. There's a Q&A function on Zoom, and I'll make sure that they are integrated in discussion or brought up to Jordan after the discussion. But let's start with first things first, Jordan. Immutable Holdings. Could you tell us a little bit more about the company? What is the company doing? What is the basic value proposition for someone who's heard about you but doesn't fully understand what your business is focusing on?
So the world is changing at a really rapid pace. This whole blockchain industry over the last decade has exploded, and Bitcoin really came about in 2009. And what we've seen the need to do is build a really important bridge between where blockchain and crypto markets live and traditional capital markets. We created Immutable Holdings to, one, democratize access to really great blockchain equity. Outside of buying Bitcoin and holding cryptocurrencies in your portfolio, there's not been a really good way to take exposure to the sector. Our thinking was, what if you could hold a Class A share, like a Berkshire Hathaway Class A share for the sector of blockchain? So we got to thinking, what would that organization look like? And today we call it Immutable Holdings. We're a diversified portfolio of really exciting breakout blockchain brands like NFT.com, 1-800-Bitcoin. We have an asset management practice, but it's all with the goal of giving investors exposure to the sector in their portfolio. So we're big believers in holding Bitcoin. All of us do so, and we advise our clients to do so as an asset manager. But we also believe that any sound, diversified portfolio also has really good blockchain equity in it. And that was one of our main motives in building what we now call the Berkshire blockchain Immutable Holdings.
So Jordan, the good way to look at it is indeed, as you said, and it's in the name, so that was an easy one for me. It's a holding company that is investing, both in cryptocurrency and in solutions. What is your approach to selecting your investments? Why do you decide to go one way rather than the other? Berkshire has a certain approach. What is your approach? What matters?
Yeah, so if you're going to follow me down this path of really considering us to be the Berkshire blockchain, you need your GEICO. What's the GEICO to your Berkshire, right? We all know that the insurance businesses generate about a third of the global turnover of Berkshire Hathaway. It's pretty incredible. And it's not a sexy business, insurance, but it's just cash flow positive. And it allows Warren Buffett to buy his favorite ice cream chain, Dairy Queen, or Nebraska Furniture Market, or drive any of the other business building or acquisition strategies that they may have in place. In the world of blockchain, for us, we needed that sustainable insurance-like business that we knew could generate the free-flowing cash flows for us to do all of the business building that we want to do. And for us, that's digital asset management. Now, I won't tell you, Jos, that digital asset management is groundbreaking or revolutionary or super exciting, but bringing exposure to high net worth individuals and family offices is something that our team excels at. I personally have been in the crypto industry since 2012 when I accidentally stumbled in it while running one of my first software companies. We were one of the first consumer brands to take Bitcoin as a payment method. And as I went through my journey, I'm now able and well placed to help family offices and high net worth individuals through Reg D private placements, invest in immutable asset management funds. So we're now spinning up a suite of financial products that allow high net worth individuals. Unfortunately, we're restricted by the Securities Exchange Commission and who we can take capital from. But we do these Reg D private placements where we bring that exposure. Now, as you scale assets under management, you can scale revenue through management fees and carry and performance fees. And what we do with that is that we can then build the picks and shovel businesses that we really feel are those moonshot bets, those really exciting opportunities in the world of blockchain infrastructure technology. One such business, that's NFT.com. You cannot ignore what's happening in NFTs. Today, it's manifesting in the form of JPEGs and GIFs selling for astronomical prices. Christie's did an auction where one such piece of art sold for $69 million, just really setting records. What we see happening today in the form of art is really going to extend across our digital lives and our physical lives, where first, everything of value in the physical world is going to be represented in the digital world in the form of a token. That could be the authenticity certificate of a watch on your wrist. It could be a title deed to a property here in Puerto Rico where I'm standing now. It could be, seat 5 and 6, row 7, section 101 of your favorite sporting venue, right? All things that can be tokenized. Now, in this new metaverse world, it could be a piece of land in a virtual world like Second Life or Roblox or World of Warcraft. That's an NFT. It could be a digital sword or some virtual gold. This is a really tremendous opportunity as we as humans are spending an increasing amount of our times on the internet. We are in need of being able to track ownership and to do attestation rights of ownership, private property protections, which is so foundational to any economy. And NFTs are where that is happening, or the technology that's being used to make that happen. And NFT.com, we're really excited to launch that at the beginning of the new year. We really hope to be at the epicenter of that major trend. So that's the strategy. Use asset management and AUM to fund really exciting true product development and engineering of new blockchain products that we can take to market.
Yep. So NFT.com is your Dairy Queen. In other words,
that's my Dairy Queen. That's my ice cream of choice. NFTs.
that is good, and I can tell you that you just answered 2 questions that came in. Of course, there were some questions about the timetable for NFT.com. So the entire NFT component, being able to track the ownership of assets, I think that, I agree with you. This is something that is getting a tremendous recognition, and it's a market that is in the process of, exploding. If we now look more at some other parts, so what would be, your second type of investment that you would be looking at? Let's maybe think a bit about a lot of the activity that we see in the blockchain world around and in the tokenization world around the financial industry. Like, where would you put your thought through bets? I'm using the word bets, but it's thought through bets. Where would you put those when you think about the financial industry? Because I'm sure that is a big component of what you're looking at.
Sure. So the blockchains are just so disruptive to traditional financial services and just what's happening. I mean, just the sheer concept of having markets that don't close, 24/7, 365 liquidity, and 24/7, 365 access to your capital. Those are really powerful concepts that I think we're just now starting to appreciate. And these markets have created an aggregate on a global scale over $2.5 trillion in new value. So if you look at that's really Bitcoin and all the major coins. There's 14,000 some coins in the world right now, $2.5 trillion in value. The opportunity for NFTs really bringing both real world physical items on the blockchain and virtual items on the blockchain. I think that is an opportunity in the hundreds of trillions. You're literally talking about providing tokenization or attestation rights of ownership to quite literally everything of value in the world and putting that on a ledger. Wow, I mean, we're talking about literally creating a global ledger of all wealth or all of someone's possessions. Where we see a lot of the exciting opportunities in the future, and this is really where you now need to start expanding how we think about the internet itself. The internet itself is still relatively nascent compared to other technologies. I mean, the internet's really only been around in its modern form for the last 2-3 decades. Okay, I'm talking about Web 1 and Web 2 applications. Crypto and blockchain is often referred to as Web 3. And we've got the ability now with this technology to completely invert the original models of the internet. And Jos, this may sound a little radical, but in exchange for free web searches and free social networking, we've literally given up our rights to our personal data. And we've done so to the tune of, multi-trillion dollar multinational companies that monetize us as the product. We turn over that data and they make, tens of dollars per user per quarter, building these, nice fancy ad platforms that allow companies to advertise to us based on the information that we shared with those platforms. Now, first, I'll make a bold statement, Yas. I think you can monetize yourself better than any social network or web giant today without calling any out by name. But two, if you're going to be providing that data, one, we need to be doing so in a secure way where we are maybe using cryptographic hashes. So you're not actually storing or sharing your social security number, or maybe you're not actually sharing your credit card details, or maybe you're not actually sharing your passport and your driver's license with every new web service provider that you engage with. But maybe you're storing a hash that abstracts away all that PII, that personal identifying information, and keeps that safe. And that also allows you to assign attestation rights to the data that you share across the internet. If we could do just that, the future of the internet is not going to look like a bunch of us using free tools and then getting a bunch of ads thrown in our face because we're being monetized. It's actually going to be a world where we get to partake in that, where money flows between the user and the end person trying to conduct commerce with that user, where maybe that ad revenue that the big social media giants is being shared with the users of that particular platform. And this is really where we start to see these concepts of self-sovereign identity and owning your web presence. To tie it back to NFT.com, and I don't want to rant here, but I think you'll find this really exciting. With NFT.com, we are one of the first, in fact, I think we are the first to allow someone to mint a profile in the form of an NFT where you will own NFT.com/Yas, and we will issue you a token, the Yas token, JOS, which is an ERC 721 token, which will allow you to have your ownership of your presence on the platform. What a disruptive concept if you actually own it, and it can't be revoked from you, as witnessed by the former president of the United States. Regardless of your politics, we do not own our web presences today. Read the terms of service. They can take those back from you at any point in time. So we think Web3 and decentralized social networking is really exciting, and we're very excited about moving in that direction.
I was going to ask you a little bit about your strategy and your vision on the future. I think you just gave a couple of very interesting thoughts and comments about that. And when I'm reading between the lines, I could almost say we're always talking about disintermediation of players in the financial industry. You're talking about disintermediation of some of the major social media players.
Why not disintermediate them both? I say disintermediate all the intermediaries.
Straight to the user. Interesting question here that comes in. How do you make money? I think you already answered. I think you already answered the question earlier a little bit. On one side of it, but it's a good question to ask.
So when we call ourselves a picks and shovel business, what we really mean is the founding principles of Immutable Holdings are, of course, it's a commercial enterprise. We believe that beyond just accumulating crypto, which we believe is foundational to any blockchain business, you want to own a large amount of these deflationary protocols that you believe are still going to be here in 5, 10, 15, 20 years, okay? Own a lot of Bitcoin, own a lot of Ethereum, own a lot of Hedera Hashgraph HBAR. That's a protocol I really think is going to be here decades from now, and I'm fortunate enough to have been part of the founding team, so maybe I'm biased there, but pick the protocols you think are still going to be here. And these protocols are like cap tables. There's never going to be more than 21 million Bitcoin. There's never going to be more than 50 billion HBAR, right? There's fixed supplies for Solana and Avalanche and all these protocols. But beyond that, there are businesses to be built that drive awareness, access, and adoption to these protocols. And one such business is an NFT marketplace, where NFTs can be bought and sold or originated on a particular platform. Now, the monetization for that is familiar. You've got public companies up in Canada who do this already. Voyager Digital monetizes with a maker-taker fee in their particular marketplace. It's similar, Yas, to how the Neo makes money. We will earn fees when someone adds a new NFT to the NFT marketplace, and when someone buys and sells, and when there are transactions in that NFT world. Fun fact, in the last 30 days, there's only been about 200,000, just shy of 250,000 unique users on the #1 NFT exchange in the world. That's OpenSea. OpenSea is getting valued now. There's rumors of a deal around $10 billion valuation on that company, but we are so early. Those are like Coinbase numbers in 2012, 2013. So in terms of user acquisition, user growth, we're less in a hurry to get to market. We more want to get to market in the right way, and then we'll monetize on fees as we onboard new users and a better user experience for NFTs. In asset management, I think I already addressed that. It's fees, and all of our other businesses, we will look to commercialize in pretty familiar fee-based ways. So revenue is, of course, we're a publicly traded company. We've got to meet shareholder expectations quarter to quarter. And we certainly expect to grow through growing assets under management and growing user numbers across our consumer apps.
Thank you for that, Jordan. And I think it's important to clarify that. And I would, totally agree with what you said earlier. And I think that is how people should really think about it. When you compare it to Berkshire, it's really the concept. There is that Geico, and then there is, all the other opportunities that you're looking at next to it, which are all, explosive opportunities. But at the same time, you guarantee continued flow. You mentioned OpenSea, and there's a question that comes up here also. How will you compete against a player like OpenSea? They've been there for a while. Like, it's as you said, it's not enormous yet, but it's growing, it's expanding. What's going to make a difference? What makes you unique? Maybe at that point to it. What's going to make you different?
Yeah. So the truth is NFT.com is really just a domain name, but honestly, this could be called NFTabc.com. Put the domain name aside for a second. Where I think the key differentiator for us is going to come in is data across the NFT marketplace is very fragmented. And let's be honest, Jos, crypto is tribal. It's just tribal. You've got your Bitcoin maximalists and your Ethereum maximalists. And I'm going to call out my own crew that maybe some of them are on here right now. They're called H Barbarians, and they're on Twitter, and they really want everything in the world to be done on HBAR. We need to stop thinking in terms of these closed networks and start to think more about a world of interoperability. The first bit is we intend to support NFTs wherever NFTs exist. Now, as part of the founding team of Hedera, of course, I'm witnessing this incredible explosion of NFTs on the Hedera network. It's amazing. Someone created an NFT of me that just sold the other day. I had nothing to do with this, and I didn't get a check here. But it sold for $60,000 on the Hedera.
I was going to say, that's good.
You'd think so. And I told my wife that, and all she cared about was asking me to take the trash out that night. So, where I'm going with all of this is we need to be multi-protocol. We need to support the entire universe of NFTs. And I think first you differentiate by bringing all of that fragmented data together in one place. What we really want to know, Jos, is how many unique holders of Bored Apes are there in the world? How many unique holders are there of this lazy superhero collection on the Hedera network are there in the world? What's the floor price, the last known price that one has sold for? Because a lot of people have 10, 12 of a particular collection. We want to know what the aggregate market cap of all of these unique NFTs in a particular collection is. Is it up in the last 24 hours? Is it trending down in the last 7 days? We want that data, and you want to be able to visualize it. So our sincere hope, without revealing too much about what we're doing, because we do want to take the market by surprise, is that when we launch, we really hope that NFT.com is going to be page A1 for NFTs. We aren't just going after the H Barbarians or the Ethereum community or the Solana community. We want everyone who is excited about non-fungible tokens to come to NFT.com and view that as a great place to get all of those fragmented bits of data all right there in an easy to consumable way. And then of course, we hope that they stay and use the marketplace in the future. But that's one of the key areas where I think we can differentiate. The other ways are we have plans to capture network effects. We have an entirely new feature set that protocols or networks or exchanges like OpenSea don't yet offer that allow creators of NFTs to monetize in just a more efficient way. And we're excited to reveal all of that. But you won't have to wait much longer because we're hardening the platform right now. We expect to launch it just at the beginning of Q1. So we're very excited. We're getting close.
That sounds very exciting, and I think you're underlying a critical component of any asset that where you want to see activity, liquidity, and interest, and that is providing a holistic view on data. That is what people want. That is what people need, and that allows them to make, as I always say, informed decisions. Interesting question that came up over here, and I know we briefly talked about it, so I know that you have an answer on that. For those who don't know, discount platforms in the US don't get access directly to real-time market data from Canadian exchanges, whether it is us, TSX, or anyone else. And to achieve that, the security has to be tradable on what is called OTC markets. Jordan, what is the timeline for that?
I think it's imminent. We have some amazing partners across the board on the financial services side. We've been very fortunate to get all of our ducks in a row with this, and this was something we anticipated even before our RTO completion date when we listed on September 28th on the NEO. So we're very excited to have OTC support. And it's with the correct parties right now. I don't know if I can say much more. I'm dancing around the issue because I don't know what my counsel would permit me to say, but we do expect it. And I do think it's very important for us to have that cross-border support for both Canadian exposure to Immutable Holdings, but also that US exposure, because we've got a tremendous following here in the United States. Puerto Rico is, after all, still part of the United States. And we're looking forward to having that cross-border support.
Yeah, and I just see a funny question coming in there afterwards. Jordan, I'm sorry, I have to answer to. Does the NEO exchange changing hand to CBOE present any opportunities to simplify for US citizens? I'm not sure whether I can give an answer to that without talking to my legal counsel, but the answer is yes, it's part of the vision. And I think we are all very, very aware about the fact that things can be done in a better way, and it's something that we're definitely looking at. It's one of those bizarre situations between Canada and US, where institutional investors, wealth firms, have no issues to get access to real-time market data from Canadian exchanges, but for some reason the discount platforms, maybe it's cost savings, only take it from a US exchange or OTC markets, and I know you guys are working on that very diligently, and I know that it's going to happen very quickly, but it takes a couple of months to achieve that. I have a funny question about Germany, but I'm not going to put that forward. There has been a suspension recently. I don't think that it has much to do with Immutable Holdings, or that Jordan would be aware of that. Jordan, I'm sure that it's something that will unlock again. We'll have a quick look at it ourselves, so Jordan doesn't have to worry about it. Understand why it happened. Okay, let's go to the next question. My God, it's already 12:27, Jordan. I don't know what's happening. It must be a good conversation.
Time flies when we're having fun.
It must be a good conversation. I look at the stock. I look at when you went public. I've seen a nice journey, of course, from a price perspective. I'm looking to the left because I'm looking at my market data screen, not because I'm ignoring everyone. And you are now at a market cap of close to 300 million, even been a bit higher than that. But the journey since launch has been very, very good and very strong. I'm an investor, and I'm looking at your story. I think it's a great story. There's a lot of vision behind that. There's an assessment of where the world is going, where industries are going. I believe in it. When should I invest? And I'm not asking you to give investment advice here, but when should I invest? Like, am I too late? Am I too early? Should I be concerned about, there's some concerns that we may entering into a bear market next year. What are your generic views? And I would answer that question, Jordan, because I don't want neither you or me to be in trouble, I would answer it more from a macro perspective.
The period of time that we are in right now presents some of the it will go down in history as one of the greatest transfers of wealth in human history. Tremendous wealth is being created in real time. And some of the biggest and most important companies of our lifetimes have literally been created within the last 3 to 5 years. We count ourselves in that category, and we have our eye on an unbelievably ambitious goal line, which is hard to say it's a goal line because for me, it was never about the destination. It was more about the journey. I never really enjoyed selling a business. In fact, I was quite depressed after exiting from my first software startup. I really enjoy, I don't think it's so much about the goal. I think that entrepreneurship is really characterized by becoming the type of person and building the type of company capable of achieving that goal. That's something I'm much more proud of than the fact that HBAR has created, $18 billion in fully diluted market value, or that, we made millions of dollars building a consumer VPN brand. Success for me as an entrepreneur is really about that personal growth. It's about creating lasting businesses that will still be here in 5, 10, 15, 20 years. What if you could build a 100-year organization? And I think when you start with that problem set, you approach industries and you approach opportunities in an entirely different way. I'm a large percentage of the cap structure here of Immutable Holdings. And, a lot of people take a company public to get that liquidity. That's the opposite of the case here. We wanted our own currency as a company so we could be part of the consolidation that we think is inevitable. You're right, Jos, that there probably is a bear market at some point in our future. Asset prices have been running up for the last year. It's been a fantastic year. Everyone that's been heavily exposed to equities and crypto has done very well. And that won't last forever. There's got to be a correction. I think there's still much more room to the upside in the near term, but I do think that bear market comes. But what I would say is the opportunity right now for companies in this sector is to, one, as quickly as possible, identify what those sustainable revenue models are, to go after those sustainable revenue models and to use those to propel the innovation that's going to carry us into what we believe is going to be the 12th sector on the S&P. We really believe that blockchain is going to be broken out of tech. Coinbase already on its own is a $70 to $80 billion US company. I think that's $1 trillion company within the next 5 to 10 years. I think you're going to see some of the world's biggest organizations, biggest companies come out of this sector. These will be multi-trillion-dollar businesses. And the way I can confidently say that, Jos, is 5 years ago, we didn't even have a $1 billion Bitcoin mining company. Now we have 2-3 dozen of them. And they're constantly going public. You've taken some of them public. So when we see where these opportunities are, the technology is still nascent. The opportunity right now is we have NFT exchanges with only hundreds of thousands of users. We have cryptocurrency marketplaces with tens of millions of users. Coinbase doesn't even yet have 100 million users. They're one of the largest exchanges in the world. We are still early. It's very important for investors to not just speculate around cryptocurrencies, but to take proper exposure to real entrepreneurs with real sustainable business models that are building real businesses in the sector. And I think the wealth creation is just going to follow by going after where those real opportunities are. Of course, we consider Immutable Holdings and our team among that. We've got an incredibly accomplished team who I wish could be here speaking with you as well. But we're certainly hoping that we're the Amazon, and we intend to be the Amazon of the correction whenever it may come, because we've got plenty of cash in the balance sheet. Our business model is real. We've got plenty of assets under management as an asset manager. We're still over 150, I think close to 160 or 170 million US dollars under management, and we're going to earn a tremendous performance fee on that. With that fund, we launched, by the way, at $10 million. So the appreciation from 10 million there to this is where we're generating revenue and future profits. So we're very excited for the future, as you can probably tell.
It is obvious, and it's the way it should be. And I really like the way that you approach that question, Jordan. People have to look at value creation on the long term, and you should not be looking at short-term volatility or events that, markets being in cycles. If you look at the big companies of today, they've been through ups and downs, through periods of high volatility, periods of low volatility. but they represent incredible value for their investors today, and that is indeed the way to look at it. So appreciate that answer. It says a lot about how your organization thinks. Two quick questions for you to finish with, because we are 4 minutes overdue. Question number one: when will you report earnings, financials?
So we did on November 15th. I believe those are already up on CDAR, so you can go look where our public filings are all listed up in Canada. So all of them are there. And then we report, I believe it's a Canadian publicly traded company, we report year end 90 days after year end. So that'll be December 31st for us, 90 days later. What I would encourage investors to consider with us is, one, we're well capitalized today. I'm in a fortunate position, and I've been in crypto for a very long time. I don't take a salary from the business. We've been able to bootstrap. I bootstrapped my first VPN consumer software product with $5,000. You don't need very much money to build really great consumer software products, which is why we're able to stretch the current cash in our balance sheet out over a multi-year period. Remember, NFT.com is really launching in Q1. So where I would encourage investors to really take a look at is, one, that asset management business is the Geico to our Berkshire. That's a really great risk-averse thing to take exposure to in the market. And then two, that NFT business, we're just going to be building up that traction early in the new year. So we've got looking to Q1 and Q2, I think, is where we really hope that investors start to focus on the big opportunities here at Immutable Holdings.
Thank you. So next one is end of year. The second question, and that will be the closing question. If you are the Warren Buffett of Hold, who is Charlie Munger?
Great question. I love the question. So I think you could tell a lot about a person by their friends. My parents always used to say to me, tell me who your friends are, Jordan, and I'll tell you who you are. And that always made a really big impact on me. You really are the sum of the people you spend the most time with. And while I went a very non-traditional path to get to where I am today, I've kept in very close contact with friends from the last 2 decades. I'm happy to say that not just an independent director on our board, but also a very close friend of mine, Jeffrey Long, who effectively serves as head of legal and general counsel of Immutable Holdings. He's an incredible individual. He would be the Charlie Munger to my Warren Buffett. Now, I don't hold a candle yet to Warren Buffett. I certainly have a lot more to prove, but we do have a big vision, and we do intend on executing on this vision over the next couple of decades. So Jeff Long, he was the former general counsel to Senator Orrin Hatch, then general counsel to Senator Ted Cruz, graduated top of his class from Harvard Law, was president of the Harvard Law Review, went to Georgetown undergrad and then Columbia. Just really the brains that I needed close to me as that sounding board to say, hey, this is the strategy. Can you give me some feedback on it? And I think every great entrepreneur needs that personal group of advisors. So I've got friends of 20 plus years who are here helping me build Immutable. And honestly, Jos, it doesn't feel like work. We're here in a beautiful place. As you can see, I know it's cold up there in Toronto right now. I invite you all to come join us. We're having Puerto Rico Blockchain Week in December, but our office is filled with amazing youthful energy of people really excited to be building, these incredible businesses.
Thank you, Jordan. And yes, for those who are all watching us, the background is not virtual; it's real. Jordan is not in the metaverse over there.
I'm not in the metaverse. It's real.
It's all real. Jordan, we had other questions that came in, and to the audience, we'll make sure that all those questions go to Jordan, and that. And he will make sure to get back to you with some additional answers, particularly the one about what do you really think that the value of your NFT should be. That's a good one. I'll let you answer that directly to the person who asked that question. But one question that I will answer is there going to be a recording available? So yes, our team is going to edit this session here that we have almost had today, and it's going to be available across all social media, and you can then listen to it again, and to all the future listeners on social media, because we know it has a big impact afterwards beside the live webcast. I hope you'll enjoy this discussion as much as I have with Jordan Fried, Chairman, CEO, and Visionary behind Immutable Holdings. Thank you very much, Jordan. This was a great discussion. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much for having me.